Right, hello my darlings. I'm back with Penelope and just a little bit of catch up. I've added some leather cord now for a closure that can be removed, so that can be personalized later on. Today the main focus is to get the dangle made, but just to catch up, I've made an ex libris card which I like to include in all of my books, especially those that I sell on. Ex libris just means from the library of. So there's a place there on the top to record the name of the new owner. And I've done that using just a word processing software. And I backfilled my image with one of Rachel's backing papers. So added the ex libris on top. And then on the back, I've done the same with that background print. And, pardon me, just that this book belongs to. If found, please return with care too. I quite like the idea of an ex libris card. It's ownership of it anyway. So all I've done is I've gone through, and any of those tags and bits and bobs that needed eyelets, I've just stuck eyelets into them, and a bit of the odd trim here and there. I might go back and add some more, I might not, but everything that had a pre-punched hole now has something. Absolute carnage behind me, and I mean carnage. So I can't go much farther forward without stopping to clean the room, to be honest. So yeah, those have all had bits added to them. And in the back, I've got my sort of Faith and Grits card that I put in there. And hold on, my letter from the bookmaker. My sort of personalized note from the bookmaker that sort of explains my definition of these books. So if there is anybody in there with interest in that letter, perhaps I can share it in another video. Right, let's tie her up a minute and pop her out of the way. And the plan today is to make a lovely dangle or besom to go off the spine of this. So let me show you what I've done. Got 2 pieces of random washi tape down here because I've worked out sort of where I've placed that brad, and I've got a little mini wooden spool. So far is the plan. Whether I use one of those rings or a hook or a button, I don't know. I don't have a great deal of gold in my stash. But for the link of the absolute, because they will get a haircut. Most of your dangles get a haircut anyway. That's a max of 7.5 inches if it goes all the way up to the brad. So I've just marked out 14 inches on my mat here. I'm running out of room. There we go. That's 14 inches on the mat. So I've gone and gathered all sorts here. So I'm going to, and woolies I've got. So I'm just going to sit here, try to play catch up on some of the collab videos, and just measure 14 inches for each piece. And then I'll pop back on. Back in a tick. Right, and back. Now, I've cut all these out. So I'm going to try this one in an X configuration. I've done it before with wire. I've used embroidery floss. Today, I think I'm going to try just string and see how I get on. If not, I can always take it apart and start again. So I want my sort of biggest, this over here, my bigger pieces, no, put the string down first, Faith. So my X is going to be, where's that washi tape gone? These plain washi tape rolls, I pick them up in like discount stores. They're just good as temporary fixes to just fix things down with. Just hold it in place. Or like at the very beginning of Penelope, I used it to mark out my layout, really. So I consider them disposable washi. So here we go, and roughly in the middle. Stay put, come on. There we go. And that one. There we go. And now some of the wider pieces I want on the back. So I'm just going to lay those out. And a giant X, really. And try to alternate. Because what I'm looking at now, from my perspective, will be the top of the dangle. I don't know what that stuff is. It's almost like seam binding. It's not elastic. It's got a little bit of give to it. There are some more elastic pieces in here. But like with any dangles, all of this gets a huge haircut afterwards. So I try not to think about it too much. Just stick it down. And I've got some random bits in there. Those random shorter bits I want to leave towards the top. Some string in there, some woolies, some lace. I had an interesting bit of ribbon that I pulled out to go in that did have some floral designs on it. Where's it gone? Oh, I've stuck it somewhere. Oh, there it is. And things are falling on the floor. No, found that. I thought it's a bit too pink, but a little bit of it would be okay in the dangle. It's self-adhesive. Well, that's no good for a dangle, is it? So, no, just keep going and layering it up. It doesn't matter if some of them go upside down, because honestly, you'll just start, once you start pulling and tugging on the dangle itself, it all goes every which way anyway. So some of these woolies are trying to stick to everything else. Oh, come on. There we go. And chatting with Steph this evening over messaging, and honestly, trying to keep an eye on your filming times. Trying to think as you're doing about future places to edit. Don't stick your head under the camera. Oh, I've just pulled that up. You see? Trying to talk and think at the same time. Dangerous. Absolutely dangerous. So there's just so much to it to try to keep in your mind. But, you know, I guess it's just practice makes perfect. The more you practice, the less you sort of have to consciously think about it. But I'm enjoying the whole YouTube process. Very nervous at the moment about my collaboration, my first collaboration video, which will be up for Monday. We'll likely put it up late Sunday night this time, because of course I'll be in work on Monday. But then I gotta remember America doesn't wake up until much later. Don't know if that was a good idea, snapping that one. It's smaller, but we'll see. So now just keep layering up your pieces into that sort of giant X configuration. And cross my fingers. This goes okay. So first one I want to do is pull this one up. Get the tape off. And I want it as tight as possible. I'm not going to knot. Yes, I am going to put a slight knot in that one. Not much. Not knot. Just a tie. Keep those two pieces together, because these two pieces are separate. tape off. Leave those out. Pull those up. Give them one pull. But keeping them separate is the key. Don't confuse one for the other. So that one I've got pulled away from me is on top. So pull that one. You kind of need 4 hands for this. Pull that one. Pull that one. But they will sort of eventually come together. So you've got a sort of macrame knot system going on here. Sorry. And then I'm going to join that one. And where's it gone? There it is. So join the 2 up. Keep pulling taut, taut, taut. And then wrap them and give them another pull. There's so many different ways of doing this. I've done this exact same process using wire. Oh my word. It's very strong. The final sort of jeweled dangle I made was lovely. But that wire did a number on my fingers, I tell you. So, there I got my, give it a shake. There we go. And like I said, you know, these things, all this ribbon and stuff relaxes over time. They always start off super fluffy, but, and then they chill out after a while. So there we go. There's one. And my length, I think, is okay. I'm at about, from the top, about 8 inches. So that all needs a haircut. But top off the top of that. Now here's the tricky bit. I don't have a great deal of hardware. So I'm going to try for her that. Just an old spool that I've whacked a bit of ink on. Maybe get a little bit more on top of that gold. Dull it down a little bit. I guess I could wrap something around the spool. We'll see. So that other one that I had out is too small. So yeah, I'm going to give this a few more knots. And then I'm going to trim a few pieces off. There we go. Do I trim off or go for it on the spine? I don't know. Right. I need to think, and I need to go hunt in my broken jewelry again. I'll be back. Right, I have an inkling of a plan. I don't know what made me choose gold for this, because I have very little gold in my stash, but here we go. So, I've got that ring is going, oh, before I do that, I want to snip, there's 4 strands there. I want to snip 2 of them off. So, they've been well knotted, they're not going anywhere. Snip that one off and that one off. And that now is going to get fed through that ring to go down onto the top. Then the spool, give that a twist. It will go through. Come on. Now I've tested this like off camera. There we go. So that's going on that way. Then I've got one more ring going through on top. That bead on top. So you got that sort of thing going on. And then on that very top, I found that. It's missing some bits, but that's fine. And that I'm going to knot as tightly as I can and hope this string holds up and doesn't snap. There we go. 1, 2, and 3 for luck. Come on. There we go. Maybe once more around the front and the back. Makes 5. I like odd numbers. One more around the back. And it sort of makes that sort of configuration. So snip that off. Oh. And there's a dangle with a sort of finished top. Still a bit furry, but it'll be fine. So that then will get attached to the top of the spine. And as you can see, far too long at the moment. So needs a haircut, needs some extra embellishments stitched on there. So I'm just going to sit here. I've got one little, these are the only lobster claws I've got at the moment. And they're tiny. But I'm going to pop that onto the top there so she can be detachable. The dangle could be detachable. And see if I can zhuzh up the dangle itself then. And catch up on some of my collaboration videos. So I will jump back on now when she's ready to get hooked on. Right, and lucky I paused then because there was swearing involved. Honestly, jump rings flying around the room. But no, I've got the tassel on. I've decided not to trim the bottom. So it is a little bit longer than the actual book. But I've got her sort of properly embellished now. So string here. So it is detachable with a little lobster claw. That ring at the top still had, it must have been an earring at one point in its life because it was quite jagged. I had to get the big tools out. Oh, something's falling off. Oh, tassel's falling off. Where is it going? Don't bump the camera. Pop that back on. Somewhere. Let's see. Through the lace and close it back up, give it a pinch. I really need to find another pair of these because using regular pliers in one hand and these in the other, honestly, there was swearing involved. So no, she's got the best angle to film this. So we've got lots of hidden little jewelry elements in there, bits of broken jewelry, some on jump rings, some on pins. There's an old dangly earring there. Some of these little flower ones I found, and a few beads. But you know, you can just continue to embellish these dangles to your heart's content. So no, she's done and ready. And then when you go to open the book, this bit here gives good clearance, in my experience, to just flip the dangle up out of the way. So the dangle is still there as you work in the book. You don't have to take it off. And I've done that using those spools. And I've also done that in the past with a wine cork. So a combination of beads and a wine cork. But no, that's all for me for now. I'm going to come back then with Penelope. I need to do a flip through. I'll do a proper flip through. I want to make a folio of goodies to go with her because there's still lots of room to embellish these pages in here. She's not full by any means. And I'm likely going to go back and put some sort of matte Mod Podge over this image here, because I'm conscious of the fact that it's just cardstock. So I'll probably do that tonight and let it sit up to dry. So a bit of Mod Podge on that just to protect the front image of her from scratches and things, because she's just printed on cardstock. But I'll come back then and do a flip through, make a folio, and goodies ready for her to go on to her new home. So thank you ever so much for your patience and watching. If you like what you've seen here, please click the like button, subscribe, leave a comment, and wish me luck for my first ever collab video coming up on Monday. So take care, everyone. Hope to see you soon. Bye for now.